Next thing what we look at is we'll look at a pair of classes. Okay. Yeah. Which are sometimes referred to as a bridge classes. They are bridge between the character type and the byte types. Okay. And these are, for example, what we have here is we have these classes called the so if you are in the input side or the output side, let's start with the output side. Okay, so we have something like the output stream writer. Okay, and similarly we have the input stream reader. Okay, then these are the classes. It's a right, the first one, these are both dealing with characters. Output stream, you can give a character to it. It's a writer class. Output stream writer is a writer class. Okay, input stream reader is a reader class. Okay, what does a writer have? They have a destination. What's the destination for this writer, output stream writer? Okay, so let's see this. Suppose I talk about output stream writer. Okay, so what does the output stream writer have? The class is a writer class. Fine. Because it's a writer, you should be able to give characters to it. Fine. Here is your char. Fine. What you push is char. Okay. But the destination which it has, what's the destination? All our writers, they have a destination. The destination here is an output stream. This here is the output stream. That means it needs somehow that you give me characters, but I'll be pushing bytes for that. Okay, so it needs to convert each character into byte. Okay, fine. So how this will be done? So for that, what is needed? It's not about casting them. Oh, each character can be cast into a byte and then written. No, not that way. Okay, it's not about cutting the most significant byte and then pushing it up. Okay, fine. We know this is all dependent on what we should know about the character being about this. You know, this output stream is fine. Now in this output stream, I'm storing some text. The text is according to some character set. So what is important here is the char set. Okay, what is additionally needed is a char set. Okay, fine. So what we have here, now this is again in the part of the java.nio thing. Okay, so in the java.nio, okay, there is a package like this, java.nio.charsets. Okay, there's a package like this, and it has a class called charset. There is a class called charset to represent different. So for the standard character sets, basically it's working for the standard character set. There are so many character sets which are available. Okay, so for the most standard character sets which are available, okay, there will be objects of the charset which are going to be available with us. Okay, so given a char set now, okay, now given a char set, that's not only that we have a char set class. Char set is having a name basically in the form of a string also. Okay, so char set would have a method called getName to give it as a string. What's the name of that character set? Okay, fine. The char set class even has some static method. Let me mention a few static methods here. So static method of the char set. Okay, it can return a char set. It's a static method to return a char set. Name of the method is for name. Takes a string for the character set name. Okay, give a character set name and you can get a char set. Okay, so one is about character set. So char set represents a character set, right? But what kind of methods, what functionality will it have? There are two things it has to be capable of doing. Okay, one is given a byte, given a sequence of bytes, I should be able to convert into the char type according to the char set. See, these bytes, they represent a particular character. It will be a different character in a different character set. Okay, this is what we call as decoding. Right? Or given a character, how to convert it into a sequence of bytes. Given a sequence of characters, how to convert into a sequence of bytes, which is according to the encoding specified. So there is a process of encoding and decoding. Okay, we have a process of encoding and decoding. And here we have the class, like we have a class called char set. We also have the class in the same package. Okay, there are classes called, there are two classes. One is a char set encoder and a class called char set decoder. Okay, we have the char set encoder and the char set decoder.
Explicitly as well with given.
Yes, it's a separate class.
Yeah. So especially for encoding and decoding.
Okay, we have methods here in char set also which can do the encoding and decoding.
For that explicitly it has to be mentioned.
Yeah, we have a method like encode or decode. They are the methods basically. Yeah. Okay.
That value, the encoder and decoder will be a pair.
Okay. One thing is the char set encoder can be created for a char set. Okay, so for example, you want a char set and you have a char set object, right? From there you can get a, so we have this method in the char set instance method which says, okay, you get a char set encoder. So you can, it returns a char set encoder. Just call the method called new char set encoder or encoder. We'll have to check the method name exactly, right? So just call that method and you will get the encoder. Similarly, you can get a char set decoder for a given char set. So for a given char set object. So yes, encoder and decoder can do the, it's like, okay, they deal with normally the buffer. So from char buffer to a byte array or other way around. Okay. So encoding and decoding, that's a whole process, like from a sequence of characters into a sequence of bytes or from a sequence of bytes into a sequence of characters. And that's the encoding and decoding process. But one point here, what I just would like to highlight here is, given a char set of, given a string, I can get a char set object. If I know the char set name, I can get a char set object. Given a char set object, I can get the encoder or the decoder. But this is the information which we need for our for the understanding of our this input stream reader and output stream writer. Okay, we'll see their constructors. When we look at their constructors, we'll realize this is what is used there. Okay, fine. So if you look at the constructor for, so let's go back to the text. So let's see how the things are used here, right? So if you look at the output stream writer, fine, let's look at the constructors now. Okay, so okay, constructor. Okay, so we have a public constructor returns public constructor for the output stream. Okay, what does it need as a parameter? One parameter always, the first parameter here. What's the destination for an output stream writer? It's a writer, understand that. So what's the destination for this? It's an output stream. So one parameter which is always required is the output stream. Okay, and a second parameter which is nothing but you can specify a char set encoder because it has to do the job of encoding. Encoder means from characters or string data into bytes. Okay, so that will be needed. So those bytes will then be transferred to the output. Okay, so this is your encoder. Okay, fine. So one is it says, okay, you can give a char set encoder. The other constructor says, okay, instead of char set encoder, even if you give me the char set, then also it's fine. Okay, or another constructor says, okay, you may not give me the char set as a char set type. You can give me the string, the character set name, then also it's fine. And we even have, okay, you can even create without passing the second parameter. In which case, okay, I forgot to put one more method there. Okay, there is a static method in the char set which says get default or default char set. So there is a default character set from your system. So that's what is going to be used here. Okay, fine. Use the default character set. Fine. So constructors are like this. Okay. When it extends from writer, okay. So if I have to look at the methods, right? So we know the methods of writer. Methods are inherited from writer. Fine. The writer is appendable, right? So those append methods, everything which we saw about the writer, so all those methods are here. Okay. Additional, only one additional method. Fine. Public method returns a string. Method name is get encoding. So according to which encoding? This is indirectly like asking for the character set name. For which character set this is working? Okay. encoding here refers to not the process of encoding, but the name of the encoding scheme. It's like that. It's about the name. Yes. Because same method here, okay. See, in earlier versions, we didn't have the charset class, but they were still referring to as, this was then being referred as encoding. Not encoding as a verb, not the process of encoding, but the name. Okay. So charset name also referred as the encoding. Okay. See, there's a slight difference between encoding and charset. Okay. I think earlier I have mentioned about shown you how UTF-16 encoding is done. And we talked about UTF-16. So what is UTF-16? It's not name of a character set. It's an encoding mechanism. Okay. Fine. So this is an encoding and not a charset name. It's not a character set. And this is a encoding. So name of the encoding. Right? Okay, just an example. UTF-8. Again, that's another encoding name. Okay, fine. But if I say ISKI 91, that's a charset name. That's the name of a character set. Okay. But loosely, yes, you can, they are almost referred equivalently. But fine, but we understand these are not character set names, they are encodings. Then Latin 1. Okay. Yeah, you can call it as charset as well as encoding. Okay. Which is also equivalent of a name called 88591. There is something like there are series of encodings, or yeah, there are encodings known as 8859 series. Okay, it goes from 8859 to 591 to 8859 13, 15 or 16, somewhere around that. Yeah. But there will be encoding for the Greek encoding, and so many things are there. We even have a static method, charset class. So charset class even has a static method which can return. So static method to return a map of string, comma, charset. It's not just a map, it's a sorted map. Okay, a static method to return this. Name of the method is charsets or support available charsets. And again, you recollect that static method, okay, to return a charset. Fine, for name. So you can know this. It's using that map only. So given a character set name, yeah, you are getting the cassette object. But all available cassettes, yes, they are enough. So they are available as a map also, if you want. So you can know what all are available to you, supported by this platform. It's available or supported char sets. The method name will have to be checked. Yeah.
String asset map, right? Sorted map.
Yeah.
The character set encoding
Key is the character set name.
associating each byte to or sequence of byte to the character.
No, this is, it's not associating anything. This is the char set objects. Okay. So you can obtain a char set by knowing the name. Once you have the char set, then you can ask for the encoder decoder and do the encoding or decoding from that object.
These are finding a particular cache.
Yes.
Furthermore, if you want the
Encoding, decoding, actual thing to be done
and there will be another map.
from char set, yes, you can use the encoder or decoder.
For that there can be a map as well, as in a key.
How they implement encoder decoder's job. Right? There we'll be having a method, like encode should be a method where you would be passing as parameter a char buffer, and it might be returning a byte, something like that. Okay, converting from characters to bytes, that's the job of encode method. There's a decode method, right, where you will be passing a byte array and getting a char sequence or char buffer or whatever, something like that.
Different methods can be used.
There will be different. Okay. Fine. The job is to convert a sequence of characters into a sequence of bytes, encoding, decoding, other way. Fine. So output stream writer constructors and the methods. Similarly, there is the other way around. What is the other way around? We have the input stream reader class. Okay, extends from reader. And source is the input stream. So if you look at the constructors, almost symmetrical, right? Input stream reader. Okay, you need the char set decoder. It's not the encoder, but it's a decoder. And methods from reader. Okay, all the methods from reader. Okay, again note here that the method name is get encoding and not something like get decoding. Okay, it's the name of the encoding. Here we are referring to the name. Right? When we are using the method get encoding, it's about the name, not about the process of encoding. Okay, so fine. So methods in input stream reader are also according to the reader class. So it's a reader. Fine. Okay, so these two are referred as a bridge. They are the bridge between the byte stream and the character stream. These two classes are the bridge between the byte stream and the character stream. Basically, they are the character streams. Okay, but to handle the character set encodings and decoding. Fine. That's what is being done by this. Okay, so your because normally your source or your destination is going to be a byte based, it's not going to be character based. Okay, when I say file, it's a sequence of bytes. Any file, physical file, if I look at, oh, it's bytes what we deal with. Okay, and so fine, clear. So from that point of view, yes, we need the these two will be having fine, they are quite useful. Okay, now there's another place where so these two classes, they have a subclasses also, and they have a so fine. So now, yeah, one more thing here is we have now the classes to deal with input output from a file. So if it's input output from a file, what are the classes you should be having? Okay, fine. And also we have the file reader and the file writer. Just look at these file reader and file writer. What are they? They are a character stream. File is made up of bytes. Okay. They are the character streams, right? Because they are character streams, okay, what they need, the file reader needs the input stream reader. So file reader actually extends from input stream reader. And file writer extends output stream. Okay. See, what does input stream reader require? A input stream and a character set. Okay, so a file reader is an input stream reader where so it needs an input stream. You don't have to mention the character set in the constructor. So constructors for file reader will be same as the constructor for file input stream. Constructor for file writer will be same as the constructor for file output stream. Constructors exactly match them. So when you call the constructor of file reader, it is actually creating a file input stream and using it like a input stream reader. Fine. Yeah. So we will be looking at the file streams, and I think, yeah, we can continue that tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Actually, I'll have to first give the constructor file input stream. So if I say file, or okay, let me start with the okay file input stream. Okay. So if you have the file input stream, the constructor, what should it take? I want to read from that file. Your source You're just setting the source. Or what else? File object. Okay, where that exists, okay, it's not a file name here, it's a file object. And there is one more class which we'll also have to look at. Okay, so a file input stream is also created using there's a file descriptor. There's a concept of a file descriptor. Any file which is opened always has a file descriptor. It's a handle with the operating system, basically. The file is available from the operating system, right? So there's a handle to deal with that particular file. Whenever a file is opened, there's a handle which is created. File descriptor is that kind of a handle. I don't know. I think we once I did discuss about what is this redirect thing, right? Less than and greater than used for redirection. We discussed once. 1 greater than or 2 greater than for redirecting the errors. You give a command, when you write a command, right? Sorry. Okay, let's say some command is there, right? And then you can say greater than and give a file name to redirect the standard output. Okay, fine. If I am to redirect the standard input, I can use 2 greater. Anything returned to the system.err, that will be redirected. There's system.out, there's system.err also. And there's a system.in. System.in also we have used, right? With scanner, we might have used it. Yeah. Okay, standard input, standard output, standard error. They are also having their file descriptor. They're having file descriptor number 0, 1, and 2. 0 is standard input, 1 is standard output, 2 is standard error. So when I say 2 greater than, that's a standard error being redirected. Okay. Subsequently, this process, this command internally is opening any file, another file descriptor is given to it. So it says, okay, that's a number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, like that. Okay, but any process, when it's started by the operating system, it's not about Java or any other, right? Any process, when it is started from the operating system, a file descriptor is allocated. Okay, that file descriptor number is 0, 1, 2. These 3 are always open. They are nothing but your standard input, standard output, standard error. Fine. Even if you are writing a C program, you are using a printf. That's for writing to the standard output. You are using a scanf. That's for reading from the standard input. You are using eprintf. That's for writing to the standard error. Because those files are already open. You don't have to say, I want to open to talk to the console. I want to open to talk to the keyboard or something like that, right? Okay, so all three files already opened for any process. Okay, you open any subsequent file, there is a file descriptor. So that's the concept of a file descriptor. So file input stream, even if there is a file already open, you are saying, okay, I still want to open. I want to create a file input stream for that opened file, for which I have a file descriptor. Okay, fine, we'll continue. We'll continue tomorrow on this. Yeah, file descriptor. We'll start with the file descriptor tomorrow. Okay. Okay. And actually, when we look at it with how it is done with what is file output stream, file input stream, and the file descriptor, what's the relation? Okay, we'll see that. Okay. IO exception. Most of many of the read and write, basic read write methods, yes, they'll throw IO exception. Fine. Mark reset, they may not throw probably. Mark will never throw.
reset
Skip,
also.
yes, they will throw because they are doing a read. Skip is doing a read.
Those will be runtime exceptions.
Checked. IO exception is a checked exception. Huh? Yeah, yeah, it has a throws.
Yeah, it has a close.
Okay, continue tomorrow then. Yeah.